Adam Price, any review there has to start probably with strikes, feature this year, perhaps next year. If you were First Minister, how much would you be giving the nurses?
Well, we certainly wouldn't be offering them a below-inflation pay increase. I mean, that's, I think it's absolutely unacceptable, and particularly given the, year on year, going back over 12 years, we've seen a real terms cut in the wages of NHS workers.
So RCN asking for inflation plus 5%.
Well, I think, I think they have a strong case that we need to have that commitment to a real terms increase, surely, because we've seen actually their pay go backwards over a decade.
And how do you pay for that?
Well, we've said that the Welsh Government needs to use its income tax powers, and what's the point of having them if we don't use them in a crisis?
So taxes go up in Wales under your watch and pay above inflation rates?
Well, I think the only way that we can protect the public services is to invest in the workforce that deliver them. Otherwise, what you have is you have low morale and you have stressed workers that eventually leave the NHS and leave the public services.
There are other public sector workers talking of going out, teachers, midwives and others. You're going to give them what they're asking for too?
I think that all public service workers, who are struggling at the moment, need support at the moment. And I don't think it's right that any of them receive a below-inflation pay increase. Certainly, I think that there is a very, very strong case that those frontline workers in the health workforce and in the teaching workforce that we clapped during the pandemic should not be offered the derisory pay deals that are on the table at the moment. Now, Westminster obviously needs to change its policy, but we have to take responsibility ourselves as a nation as well. We have those income tax powers. We consistently said to the Welsh Government, what's the point of having them if you're not prepared to use them at a critical time like this?
Let's turn to Plaid Cymru. A difficult year for the party, a difficult few weeks and a difficult few months. Have any of the processes triggered into looking into the allegations and talks about toxic atmosphere? Have any of those concluded yet?
There's nothing further I can add into any individual cases at the current time. All I can say generally
the processes, the reviews of what was going on, they concluded yet?
There's nothing that I can say in relation to individual cases at this time. All I can say, obviously, any formal complaint that the party ever receives is taken very, very seriously and is dealt with according to our processes.
How did you feel about stories of toxic atmosphere in the party?
Well, if that's anyone's perception within the party, then we need to understand why that is, and that's why we are endeavouring to do so. So we've set out a number of different ways in which people within the party can confidentially share their perspectives, share their experience. We're working with an independent HR consultancy to identify issues that we need to address and improve upon, and we've also created a working group in order to drive this work forward, looking at what do we need to do in terms of our structures, in terms of our culture, in terms of our processes. We're very clear about the party that we want to be aligned with our values. We want to be an inclusive party, a non-discriminatory party. We want to be a party where critical challenge is possible as well, done in a respectful manner. So we're clear about where we want to get to. We're working with independent experts in order to help us with that, but also we've set up a working group under the aegis of the National Executive, chaired by Nerys Evans, the former Assembly member and also a former member of staff, so she can bring both of those perspectives to bear, and that working group will be providing its recommendations by the spring.
But it's more than processes, isn't it? Because the claims are that it's like about the leadership, your leadership. Why has a culture where people are afraid to speak out been allowed to develop on your watch?
Well, as I've said, if that's people's perception, then we need to understand why. We're very committed to doing that, and we'll do that with independent advice. We'll do that on the basis that people are able to share confidentially their own experience and their own perception. And we have this working group chaired by Nerys Evans, who will be providing recommendations to us in the spring, so that we can get to a situation where we want to be, where we're clear on our values, we're clear on the party that we want to be. We need to make sure, as every organisation needs to do, that our values are clearly aligned with our practices and our culture as a party.
And to those in your party who say, in order to get a fresh start, you need a fresh leader, what say you?
Well, I I'm focused on really what is at the heart of everything that we do, which is making a difference in the lives of the people of Wales. So that through the cooperation agreement, the tens of thousands of children that are receiving free school meals in the midst of these challenging times as a result of that, the work that we're doing in solidarity with those workers that are striking in order to get a decent pay rise, holding the Welsh Government to account, holding the Westminster Government to account as well in terms of the lack of a fair settlement for Wales. So we're making a difference here at the Senedd, we're making a difference in Westminster, we're making a difference in the 8 local authorities, a record in terms of Plaid Cymru's history, the 8 local authorities where we are a part of the ruling group, the 4 where we have a majority for the first time.
You're not going anywhere. You'll stay.
Well, the collective leadership of Plaid Cymru isn't going anywhere because we are actually making a difference to people's lives every day.
It's a review of the year. So one of the big moments of the year, of course, was we had a new king and a new Prince of Wales. Now, a programme on ITV Cymru Wales tonight, King and Cymru, some say that perhaps Prince William should acknowledge publicly in Wales why some in Wales don't want him as the Prince of Wales. Would that be a good idea?
Well, we've said very clearly what our view is that there is no role, we think, for the title Prince of Wales in modern democratic Wales. It has no real function in the constitution of a modern democratic country, and so we don't see any role for it at all. It's for the Prince himself to share whatever perspectives he has. But surely it should be us as a nation to decide whether we want a Prince of Wales, and we don't think, certainly we're told there's not going to be an investiture, we don't think there should be anything which even looks like a quasi-investiture.
Adam Price, thanks for joining us.